Alright, pre-video warning. This is going to contain spoilers for Fraud. Watch at your own discretion. Well, it's here. I know I'm a couple weeks late to this. However, I want to give the fervor of the release to die down a little bit before I share my thoughts. Welcome one and all to the fraud layer of Ultrakill. This video is retrospective, so let's do the usual warnings, shall we? This video is going to contain my opinions, so you know the drill. You got a low constitution? Turn away now. And for those of you that actually want to hear the opinions and my take, please stick around. You might find this interesting. So, where do I start with this video in terms of my thoughts and my take for this layer? Let's start with the positive, shall we? So, to start off, the layer looks amazing. All levels look insanely cool, and if you read the lore implications and some of the hidden books throughout the levels, honestly, I can see why Hakita and team wanted this to be their send-off for Ultrakill level design. A lot of fun, definitely gave me a headache, which is a first time for me playing this game. Next up, enemies. I thought the designs and violence was where the coolness was going to stop. No. It has gotten even cooler with some of the enemies here in Fraud, especially the Providence and the Mirror Reaper. Like, you mean to tell me an enemy that in the second phase you have to fight by looking in the mirror, or, you know, actually can one-shot with the cannonball without cannon dunking like you do the Cerberus? Like, bro, sign me up! And honestly, for the Mirror Reaper's design, it is a unique flavor of grotesque, at least in my opinion. Especially if you were to read the terminal entry. Like, Jesus Christ. The team that Hakita's got has made some truly terrifyingly gross shit, and I'm all for it. Now, enemy placement, sure, it's going to be a bit of a mess. I mean, with how Fraud plays, yeah, it's going to be a mess. You want non-Euclidean, you can't have anything that makes sense. I mean, if it would have made sense, wouldn't exactly be the Fraud layer, would it? Now, sure, the powers exist, but apart from Gabriel, Archangel design doesn't really land well, but this is no fault to Hakita and team. This is just more of a constraint with how Archangel design can be handled, which, sure, is its own flavor, but my tastes are my tastes. Maybe you don't like them. Well, we can have a debate on that one. Now the music. Oh god, the music! Seriously, why does this Fraud layer style, like, it has to have, like, that jazzy-ish piano. It's, like, it's hard to describe the style, but it just somehow works throughout the entirety of the layer. I know it's mostly referencing albums that Hakita has listened to, I believe. I'd have to double check my resources on that one, so editing me will take care of that one. However, with the music, it still hits that unique flavor of badass. It fits Fraud to a T, which honestly does also say some of the musical genius that Hakita does have. My favorites are probably, well, one of them being the song you're hearing now, In Absentia, then some Latin, I can't speak it. Then the second theme for 8-1, Spiral Out, Keep Going. And honestly, the entirety of Disintegration Loop, memes aside. Like, those two levels probably have my favorite music from this layer. And yes, I'm aware that when we get to that one section, we lost the fucking plot. All jokes aside, though, the entirety of Fraud Layer's design is fucking awesome. Like, sure, violence is cool. Wrath, personally one of my favorite layers. But violence, holy shit. Like, I can see why this would be broken on launch and why they need to do hotfixes. Because this layer is honestly a treat to play through, lag or not. Again, go check the stream if you wanted my live first reaction. Link will be in the description. And the way the theming is handled for each level, based on different aspects of the lore reasons for the design of Fraud Layer, I'm not going to say much on that front. Go find out yourself. Or look at YouTube videos, I don't know. But each level being designed after a specific aspect of what Fraud's lore is also just a really cool detail. Like, this whole layer is just packed full of details, and I'm absolutely adoring it. And for those of us who have the movement down really well, basically just into muscle memory, what I also enjoy about this layer is it basically tells you, oh hey, your skills? Yeah, they're like half efficient now. Good luck surviving. because it challenges everything you understand about your movement. And with how this flare works, it actually puts you in survival mode instead of systematic destruction, which honestly is really fucking cool. And I think that concludes the aspects I liked. Now to move on to stuff that I kind of have my gripes with. Optimizations are not included here, as that was fixed to the best of their ability in the hotfix. This is just my personal gripes. First up, enemy placement. I'm aware this is basically meant to destroy your senses, make you get confused for which way is up, which way is left and right, all that. But you're fighting more of the geometry than the actual battle, and then making harder hitting enemies harder to access via that. It really demands mastery, and while mastering the movement is kind of the thing with Ultrakill, Fraud's enemy placement is a bit much. With all the weird corners, all the geometry, all that, it does not play well, even to veteran players. Hey, Acidia here, just in post. I'm aware this contradicts what I just said before this section, however, I do still have my gripes with more of the geometry than I do the actual gameplay and style of at least Fraud in general, so to make sure that's clarified, I'm aware of the contradiction. I know, work with me. The biggest offenders in this that aren't 8-3, because that whole level's a shit show, and we'll get into that later, is primarily 8-2 and a smidge of 8-4. I know 8-4 is meant to be the boss fight, so you have to have a few enemies, but due to the free fall, it makes those movements killing the virtues and providences a bit much, and then 8-2 being constantly flipping between back and forth on that shit, it gets to be a bit much. So it's kind of the gripe I have with that. My second gripe, and I'm aware this is also just more of a bug, but I still want to at least address it, is the gravity. Gravity changing, completely fine. Baller mechanic, I adore it. However, the way it's handled in 8-2 is a bit much, because if you're doing things a certain way, you can also completely break the gameplay, so that's something to keep an eye on. But the gravity is still a bit finicky, and while I'm aware Fraud was insanely ambitious, the gravity just felt like that was the one thing that did it in, which kind of sucks, but nah, what can you do? And a very much smaller gripe, but one of my personal ones I've had experience with, mainly through 8-3 and other various attempts through 8-1 and 8-2, is that while you're meant to move fast, because that's basically the core gameplay loop of Ultrakill, is move fast, hit hard, all that, with all the gravity bullshit, the weird geometry and all that, it kills your speed a lot faster. So unless you're able to get the environments down pat and move with it to keep your speed, it can feel a bit disheartening when you're just trying to move at Mach fuck, keep those times down, and then suddenly a random corner, because of weird shenanigans, clips you and kills all of your momentum or throws you way off course. I'm someone who really enjoys this movement, so that's more of a personal gripe. If that's not really a gripe you have, then feel free to discuss that. I'd be more than happy to deal with that, and that's what the comments are for. So yeah, while the gripes are very much significantly less, those are my personal gripes. And well, with that, we're going to talk about Fraud Third Disintegration Loop. Disintegration Loop. Where do I start? I can't even categorize this between good or bad because this level has a lot going for it. I will say, one of the more fun aspects of this level was just the constant fake outs. Like, when I first played this, holy shit, I could not keep up with most of this shit, and it was a good time. Well, to start, the arenas are super unique, even by Fraud standards, constantly moving, constantly shifting, you actually have to rethink your entire playstyle to move with so you can keep fighting. Because, if you don't adapt, you're fucking dead. Now, is the arenas moving a good part? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Like, sure, it can add more fun to it, but other times it's generally just that momentum killer I mentioned in the previous section. So,
While that's, again, maybe just a personal thing with me, that's something that will probably either make or break the layer for some people. Some people will like the extra challenge, other people may not. Like, it's all a matter of personal taste, right? But the music for Disintegration Loop, like the song you're hearing right now, fucking peak. Like, seriously. I did not expect Hakita and team to cook this hard with the music. However, the music can also be the one thing that gives you that sensory overload when you're fighting through a shifting arena with 2 Providences, 6 street cleaners, and everything else on your ass. So, again, might be up to personal taste on that one. And since this cleanly lines up with the footage conveniently, powers. The lesser archangels that directly work under Gabriel, according to, well, their lore, I think. So, given that, well, they're an interesting enemy to fight in the way they work, but honestly, it's just another archangel, not really much to write home about, but they're still a fun fight, especially when you learn of their mechanic when they're fighting in groups. Just make sure not to enrage multiple at once. Then, once you get done with this fuck-ass fight, you got 2 sections ahead of you. Red route and blue route. Trust me, they're a disaster in their own sense, so, let's get into that, shall we? Now, for each route, you got your own flavor of hell. If you remember, Ultrakill 95 from Hakita, at least for the blue route, suggested this. Red route's its own bag of fun, though. So, yeah, red team or blue team, comment your team below. Anyways, as evidenced by footage on screen, let's talk about the red route first, which, honestly, between the two, I had a little bit of more fun with, but only by just a smidge. Anyways, to get us started, the rotating room gimmick. It's fun, it can mess with you, but it can also mess up the trajectory of your shots, because the physics that had to be rewritten for this layer messes with shit like cannonballs, coins, I think nails and saws, what have you. It can really mess up when you're trying to go for Providence and kills with fucking cannonballs, for example. And it's compounded with the fact that the one you rotate within won't mess with your gravity, but if you switch between sections of the room while they're in the middle of rotating, your own gravity can get messed up, which can make it harder to progress if you're not hyper adept with the movement of this game, which, downside, but I guess it's just a caveat when it comes to rewriting the whole damn engine for this layer. And keep in mind, this shit was built in Unity. Yeah, Unity. Overall, though, the Red Skull route challenges your ability to navigate, which is honestly really cool because because of the Blue Skull route, you gotta be able to track different things. But your ability to navigate with being challenged in the Red Skull route, honestly kind of fun. And trust me, it somehow carries into the cyber grind. I don't know how, don't ask me. I don't understand I do not understand player psychology. Now onto the Blue Skull route, which I've got a little bit more to say on this one. Now, with the Blue Skull route, its whole gimmick is putting 2 different rooms with different enemy setups within the same space. Again, Ultrakill 95 basically hinted at this. It's very disorienting, but I've got some things to say about it, and you might find it interesting. Now, for the biggest part of the gimmick, say you put down the magnets from the blue guns, those will only be in that part of the room. They will not just transfer over. So you have to be able to get creative with how you set your traps so you can at least maximize how much damage you do. And with the shifting room gimmick, it also means you can get double the enemies within the same room. One part of it has swords machines, the other might have Cerberus. Like, it is a genuine trip, and it can make P ranking take a little while if it wasn't for the fact that if you clear out one version of it, it'll automatically shift back to the other and let you clear that as well. Like, that is some serious quality of life. Congratulations on that front to Hakita and team. But this also doesn't come without visual bugs, because say you got sentries in one half, but they're not in the other half. It will keep that beam trained on you, but it won't be able to tick up for the shot timer until you're back in their half. Like, yeah, this layer is great, but there's just some things you generally cannot avoid, because this entire layer is built as a bug that turned into a feature, and I say that with love, because Fraud was a genuine fun-ass time to play through. And now, for the sake of keeping up with the footage you see on screen, time to talk about that section. the Event Horizon section, better known as the space section. This has got a lot going for it, and this is going to be an interesting time to talk about. So, let's just fucking jump right in. Let's just go balls to the walls here. Now, aesthetically, this shit looks cool as hell. You can't deny that. Like, it is so fucking cool to look at, dude. Now, for the gameplay, you remember the water level back in 5-1? Yeah, so, it's back with a vengeance, but with a new paint job. Now, the gravity on each platform is its own centralized thing. It makes the gameplay kind of interesting, because you're basically playing a 4D platformer, which, yeah, always a good time. And with this level of structure, how it looks all over the place, it actually creates an oddly coherent route by literally just having your brain be wired to go forward. Or just go through big door. Like, it is really interesting how this section handles the, like, direction of play that you're supposed to go if you're not speed running and just jumping from one end of the map to the other, because let's be real, core nuking and ultra boosting is ridiculous. But this whole section handles its fragmented playstyle and all that in a surprisingly coherent way, and I'm like, what the fuck? But the combat is another thing entirely. Like, because since it's a low gravity situation, kind of like the water level back in 5-1, it means you gotta play a little bit differently, and that your movement is also going to be kind of low gravity, which can be fun, but it can mess with your brain a bit since you're, you know, in the genuine heat of combat in space with weird gravity shenanigans to each platform. However, that doesn't mean it's a gripe, per se. If anything, it's just kind of a commentary on how this whole section handles, but then again, Fraud is already an acid trip on roids, so, yeah, make of that what you will. And given this whole section is basically open air, I believe that's why the enemy encounters are a lot more aggressive than what they usually are in the contained rooms, because you have a lot more room to move. It's a little more like the open levels of, like, 4-4 and shit like that. So it's like, it gives you that room to move, and if you know what you're doing, if you've been playing this game for more than 3 hours, you kind of end up just making your own battlefield, and it's pretty fucking sick. Another part of this level I actually enjoy is bringing back the suicide trees from 7-2 as, like, the final arena to open the exit. You'll be seeing that shortly, but it is pretty cool. Like, this whole layer is basically building off of the other layers, especially in this level, where it's kind of taking a bit of everything. Kind of like its own pseudo-encore. Oh god, the Fraud Encore is going to be hell, isn't it? And since we've basically hit the end of the level, and we're on the final section of the video, I think it's about time I summarize my thoughts properly. And no, I will not be talking about Final Flight 8-4. That whole level is stupid, and the Gurion boss fight is just not fun. It does not deserve a mention in this video. So, where do I stand on Fraud as a whole? Well, overall, great layer, and when I played it on release, it was one hell of an experience, and I would give anything to experience it once again. It was so much fun. Sure, I have my gripes, but with the patches I've been releasing since Fraud's initial release, which, as of recording, is the 20th of May, so we're on 17D4, yeah, Ultrakill is honestly taking care of, like, great people, and New Blood is making sure that shit comes out with extra quality, because they're actually supporting the damn devs. Now, if I were to use the Ultrakill style ranks for a rating, where do I place Fraud? I place that shitstorm, because if you want Ultrakill rank, it needs to be true perfection. And, well, we still have Treachery to wait on, so we'll see how that goes. And, yes, I know New Blood is not the developers of Ultrakill. That is Hakita and his crew. I'm just saying the publishers over there at New Blood are also doing a damn good job of making sure that we get a cool-ass game straight from the heart of Hakita and team. And this should also wrap up all of my thoughts on Fraud as a whole. This has been sitting in my editing folder for like 2 months, so, yeah. But, thank you for watching. I sincerely hope you did enjoy this. I'm sorry it took so long to come out, because I started this project a month after Fraud released, and, yeah. That was in February. It is currently May. So, make of that what you will. And as I said in the roadmap video, this is one of 2 of the last Ultrakill videos I've been making for a good while. I'll start on the other one soonish, depending on where my motivation sits. But overall, thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, you know what to do. And yeah, this is Acidia, taking care and signing off. Thank you for joining me for the Fraud Retrospective. I will see you around.